Hello everyone, Voodoo here, and today I want to talk about a problem that Havoc Demon Hunter faces for its viability in Mythic Plus. Now, this isn't the only spec in the game that faces this problem, and we will touch on those other examples, but it's something that kind of happens across the spectrum for WoW, really. So today we're going to talk about it. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We are pushing for 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We're very, honestly, pretty close to that. And let's get on to it. All right, so here we are in game, and you're probably wondering, Voodoo, like, what are you talking about? It's obviously tuning, right? Like, if Havoc's not tuned well, then how can Havoc be brought, right? Well, the thing with that is that tuning is not really what I want to talk about here. Obviously, yeah, that's a thing. But even if tuning is not a factor, there are factors still that exist amongst classes, especially between specs, that might just lock out other specs from existing. And I think that's kind of a problem. It's really weird in terms of, like, I get it because it's an RPG and things want to, be balanced and have unique things, but it's kind of weird amongst different roles, different things where, let's say Vengeance is good, then Havoc already can't be meta. The reason I'm talking about that is what you bring to a dungeon, right? Now, Havoc doesn't have a combat res, it doesn't have a lust, it doesn't have anything like that. It does have brand, which Vengeance shares, and it also brings really, really good mob control, right? You bring Sigil of Misery, which is a pretty good stop. You bring Chaos Nova. You can bring Imprison if a dungeon needs it, and you also bring Darkness. Now, the thing about those is that everything I've mentioned so far is also shared with Vengeance, right? Vengeance has Sigil of Misery, Vengeance has Chaos Nova, Vengeance has Imprison, Vengeance has Darkness, and oftentimes they are at more of a little bit liberty to even take Pitch Black or Long Night because it is a better defensive for them. They have a lot more mobility in this tree, so to speak, because their damage output isn't necessarily as important. Now, Havoc does have its own thing, right? We have Netherwalk, which is the worst immunity in the game. Maybe Turtle's up there, but, it's not a true immunity. You can attack during it. It's on the GCD. It's a 3-minute, so it's a pretty bad one, but yeah, immunity. We also have Fell Eruption, which is a stun, if I can open the actual proper thing. Fell Eruption. Impales the target for 70,000 chaos damage and stuns them for 4 seconds, right? So we just got some Fury here. Not a free stun, by the way. Boom, Fell Eruption. They're stunned for 4 seconds. Honestly, kind of a cool animation as well. So Havoc brings that. However, Vengeance brings, honestly, I would say even better stuff. So the reason, right, that you bring Havoc to a dungeon is because of their mob control, all those things I mentioned. But Vengeance has even better mob control. So I'm here as Vengeance now. And when I mean better mob control, I really, really do mean it, specifically because of Sigil of Silence. Now, Sigil of Silence has been nerfed multiple times. It used to be a 1-minute CD. It used to have 2 charges because of illuminated sigils. It used to silence enemies, I believe, for 6 or even 8 seconds. They just nerfed it like a few days ago to put it down to 4 seconds. Sigil of Silence is a absolutely broken ability, and Vengeance has even more access to it if you take something like Cycle of Binding, which this talent tree isn't, but you conceivably could do that to have even more access to it. So not only does Havoc bring all these mob control tools that Vengeance does, but Vengeance brings even more of them through Sigil of Silence, through Cycle of Binding, and through Sigil of Chains, which is another stop as well as a grouping tool. So one of the things in the whole crux of this video is that oftentimes you have specs within a class that bring unique things that the other spec does as well, but are just better at it, right? You'll see this, and we'll talk about this with Paladin, talk about this with DK, and talk about this with Old Shaman before they changed it, to where if one of those specs is needed for something, right? Like if you want to bring a Havoc into a dungeon or a Demon Hunter in general, sorry, because brand is pretty decent and also mob control is very important, well then, why would you bring a Havoc when A, Vengeance is much easier to fill in the tank slot, and B, they bring even better mob control through Sigil of Silence, which is a very broken ability. I don't know if anyone's ever played Sigil of Silence, right? But huge area effect, put it down, it silences all targets for 4 seconds. Interrupts and silences. So they cannot cast ever again. It's been nerfed multiple times. It's crazy good. The only other AoE silence in the game is Boomy's Beam, which is A, their only kick, and B, a lot worse because things we move out of it, yada, yada, yada. Sigil Silence is crazy good. It gives a soul. It's just really powerful. So kind of my main thing is like Havoc can be brought for mob control, but Vengeance can also be brought for mob control while not taking up a DPS slot, so you get value from your tank slot, and also just bringing better mob control. There was a time when Sigil of Silence was on the class tree, which honestly, let's go back to that, and it's just kind of weird that within certain niches, right? Like if you want to bring a class for a niche, There's specs that just do it better. I don't think this would be that big of a deal if it was like DPS stuff, where maybe Havoc's good at, 2 DPS specs. Maybe Havoc has more mob control. Maybe the other spec has something else that sets it apart, right? But when you have 2 specs on the same class that occupy and fill the same niche, but are different roles entirely, and one of them is just better than the other one at it, then you kind of have problems. And if anyone here who's watching the video is a Death Knight player, then you might understand what I'm talking about. And well, I'm gonna play a clip from Max. I don't know if it's exactly the right one, but basically, Death Knights have it even worse.
How many DKs did you prepare for grips? Just blood DK on Yips. So we were gonna bring in Rep Paladin, sit Prop Paladin, and bring in blood DK if you needed grips on that fight, because DK DPS kind of stinks. And just whenever you need grips, for some stupid reason, blood DK is just twice as good at gripping as DPS DK, which I just don't know why that exists.
Here I am on my Death Knight, and we're out in the open world. And again, thank you, Max, to helping me illustrate my point. Now, the thing with Death Knights is they're brought for grips. They don't have a raid buff. They have a combat res, which is pretty good, and they have AMZ. But they have no raid buff, right? They don't have something like Chaos Brand. Now, Death Knight's very undergeared. It is level 80, but the grips it brings are twofold, or at least the DPS specs. You bring Abomination Limb, which is a 2-minute cooldown that grips enemies in every like 4 seconds or so, every 12 seconds. Sorry, every 1 second to grip something, you can only grip an enemy every 4 seconds. So it helps to like central enemies around you. It is a damaging cooldown though, and it definitely can ruin things if you push it when there's things that you don't want to be gripped in. So that grips things in every 30 seconds, right? If we use it, pop out here, it'll start gripping this thing every 4 seconds. There's a bit of a cooldown on it. It'll grip it in every second. Obviously, I'm not moving too far away from it. There you go. The other way we have that Death Knight has grips is through Death Grip, right? You get 2 charges of it, and it can just grip things in. So it's pretty good for gripping. Obviously, it is not the best thing in the world. We're gonna try and actually do a rotation here. Not very good at it. This thing is kind of a meme. Here you go. So Death Knight has grips. But the thing with that is that the other spec for Death Knight, the tank spec, has even better grips. So I'm here now on Blood Death Knight. And the thing with Blood Death Knight is not only does it have a bomb limb, it has 2 grips with Death Echo. It also features Gorfiend's Grasp, which is probably the best grip in the game because it grips everything to a target location. I've also taken a talent that makes it have 30 seconds less cooldown and also silences enemies for 3 seconds, which is really good. So we go up to a random target in the world. I had a pack here, but you can see, we can grip. If I get a little closer, we can grip it. We have our thing here to grip it to us. And then if the wandering pack that I saw nearby could come any closer, here we go. We're gonna jet over here and show you what I'm talking about. But the other thing you can do is just grip everything to a target location. So if we grip in this, ramble this stone crusher or something like that, grip that in, boom, grip this in too, why not? And now I can grip everything to a singular location just like that. That's crazy, right? So Blood Death Knight, just because it exists, is naturally better at gripping than the DPS specs. And that's kind of the same thing that goes on with Havoc, right? Vengeance Demon Hunter, because it exists, is just naturally better at mob control than Havoc. That's the thing that Death Knight experiences in Raid. Why would you bring a DPS DK if you need grips when Blood just does everything DPS does, not to mention a stronger AMZ, but better, assuming that DPS DK isn't broken to the moon. And that's kind of a problem, right? Like that just makes it weird and makes it hard for these things to get into the game. Now I get that, things are allowed to have the niches and whatever, but it's weird that they occupy the same niche, but one spec is just better at it. Paladin kind of does this. I don't have a Paladin, but Ret Paladin doesn't really have anything. But Prop Paladin has Spell Warding, and Holy Paladin has Aura Mastery to make their auras better. And what does Ret have, right? If Ret's damage isn't really good, then they're not going to be brought into the raid because they don't really bring anything else the other 2 Paladin specs don't bring. So it's just this weird thing, and Shaman was the same as well, right? Resto enhancement and Elemental until I think, was it this tier? I think it was the War Within they changed it. Wind Fury was a totem that Enhancement Shaman had. Again, I don't have a Shaman, so I'd be on that right now. And only Enhancement Shamans had it. So there was no reason to bring to bring any other Shaman, Elemental, or Resto unless they were broken the moon. And that just kind of never happened. Obviously, Resto can be a good healer. It can be brought. I don't think it was for a long time, but it can. So there's this weird thing that happens in the game where specs occupy similar niches or have unique things that cannibalizes the representation of other specs. And I think that's kind of a problem. I think if something's good at something, and they want it to be like the thing the spec does, then have all three be good at it equally, right? Like if grips are the thing DK does, give them all Gore Fiends or give none of them Gore Fiends. If mob control is the thing Havoc does, give them all Sigil Silence. Give Havoc something unique, give Vengeance something unique, right? Like Fell Eruption is not an equal thing to Sigil Silence. And that's kind of the problem. If tuning is out the window and you're not thinking about tuning, then bringing a Vengeance or bringing a Blood DK, depending on if you're Raid or Mythic Plus or whatever, will always be better than bringing the DPS counterpart. I think that's a problem. Now, there's a thing that you said about, oh, it's an RPG, things need to have unique things. I get that, but I think this is a bit of an extreme, and it's happened every time. In Dragonflight Season 3 and 4, Havoc was pretty good. I mean, after we got nerfed a few times, but we're still pretty good. But Vengeance was still brought because Vengeance was better, and Vengeance brought Sigil of Silence. And that's happening right now as well. Havoc's a pretty good spec right now. We have really good funnel, our AoE damage is pretty solid, and we're really tanky, but because we don't bring anything unique compared to Vengeance, who is also very good, there is zero reason to ever bring a Havoc to your group in Mythic Plus when you could bring something that does more AoE damage than Havoc does, and brings other things, right? Because there's no point to overlap Vengeance and Havoc because they exist. And Vengeance has probably found the inverse of this in Raid for a long time because Havoc's just a really good Raid spec. But it's just kind of weird, right? Where it's a 1 DPS, 1 tank kind of spec. You can't really swap between the two very well. A lot of players do, but it's like you walk by a different role. So it's a weird little thing. But that's kind of what I was going to be talking about today, where there are these weird things that preclude one spec from being brought over the other. And I think it's kind of Havoc's biggest problem in Mythic Plus. Every time Havoc's been good, Vengeance has also been pretty good, and has just cannibalized the role that Havoc could be playing in the meta. So there you go. That's my little talk today. I hope you guys liked this. Hope you guys found this enjoyable. Let me know what you think. Happy Easter, everybody who celebrates. This comes out on Easter Friday. Next video should be on Easter Monday. But I hope you guys enjoy time with your family for celebrating. If not, I will see you guys on Monday with another video. So hope you guys all enjoyed. Peace. A big thank you to everyone watching my videos, but especially to my channel members. Thank you Alexander Trifunovic, Rukaza, Fear Redefined, Loose Change, Jorge Polanco, Matthew Barr, Zuligan, Chocobo Merc, Gabriel Correa, Matchman 133, and Falafadar and Dark Terror. Thank you so much to everybody. If you want to join and support me in making videos, consider following the link below. I will be adding more perks to this over the summer as I get more time, including log review, which isn't available right now. But again, I do appreciate everybody just supporting me and watching the videos. So I'll see you guys next time. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Peace.